All right, guys, we've got an early 2014 150 Prado, 125,000 k's on the clock. Doing a bit of a service inspection, again, to show you what to expect on a vehicle this age and some of the things to look out for, which I can tell you already is not much. Doesn't do a lot of off-road, you can see that. It's all geared up, it's got the ARB bash plates, couple of little marks on them, not too much at all. And it's pretty clean. The good news about this is it's been well looked after from the start, DIY style. I'll just give you a bit of feedback. The OME suspension went in from brand new as well, so it's been in for about just over 120,000 Ks, once again with no leaks or issues like that. He does say it is a little bit firm, you know what I mean? Obviously everybody's different on how they judge the suspension. The lower bush looks good, so that's good feedback. Of course all the CVs and everything look good as per usual, normal stuff. No oil on the bottom of that boot. So early 2014, in case I didn't say it or got it wrong. Same deal over here. You can see the dust covers rub on the outside of those coilovers. You can see the engine, it's all nice and clean up there. All right, let's have a bit of a look around. You can see it's all nice and clean. Not going to get the focus quite right with other components in the way, but that's all right. There's no oil anywhere. So the ARB bash plate sort of hit on those bushes there a bit. Not the best, but you know, that's all right. Now let's have a look at these control arm bushes. You can see the front ones, they've just got the usual sort of little bit twisty sort of thing. It's up on the hoist at the moment, but they're certainly not split or damaged. It's usually the rears, and I'll demonstrate again. So you look at the bottom part of the bush there. You see on the right side, you can see the split. It's kind of like, I can get the light in the right spot, maybe. I'll estimate that it's between 1/4 and 1/3. Probably more like 1/4 of the way split through coming in from the right. Let's have a look at the other side, on the passenger side. You're going to see probably the opposite, right? There you can see the bottom of the bush. Try and get the light in the right position. Right, same thing, coming in about 1/4 of the way. So nothing to worry about. At that point, guys, don't waste your money. You don't need to replace any bushes or arms or anything like it. Wait till they get a lot worse. Of course, the lower ball joint. Bit of grease on that there. Is that from something, or is that just from when they fitted the suspension and the grease is leaking out of the... That's probably what it is, I reckon. They probably damaged that boot by the looks of it a long time ago when they fitted the suspension. And all the grease that's meant to be inside that boot has leaked out. Let's come around to this side. See, this is kind of like what it should look like. Alright, that's what it should look like. Anyway, we'll just go for it. It's got a Taipan exhaust, so you can see what they look like after it's about 6 or 7 years old as well. Fairly close to the start it went on. So again, you can tell by how clean everything is. Doesn't do a lot of off-road. But just have a look at the condition. There's a bit of surface rust there. Right, overall pretty good, but then you get down to this muff or whatever, you can see there's some steel, bit of a mix of steel and stainless by the looks of it. Not much to see down here. Brakes look like they're pretty close to new. OME in the rear, same thing, no leaks there. No leaks there. It's just for twin tubes, it's a bit expensive really. Last person told me they quoted over $2,000 supplied and fitted. It's too much for twin tube suspension in my opinion. And a lot of people do say the ride's a bit harsh. I've never owned a vehicle with it in there, but out on the tracks I jump in with other people, and when they've got the king springs, these heavy king springs and the twin tubes, I do notice it's a bit of a hard ride. But when I leave the workshop on a road test, I notice it's one of the most awesome, comfortable rides of any of the vehicles. So on road, really good. So if you're doing a lot of on road and you want that brand, you can do that if you like. The same sort of money, you could probably get the Domson's monotubes. But anyway, fuel filter's been changed. It's pretty clean. He's been lubing the driveline and everything. Possibly, you know, good regular lubrication, maybe a little bit too much. But as I said, I'd rather see too much grease, a bit of grease flicking out. Not too much. We discussed how much is going in, and what he's doing seems to be right, but maybe this is what it looks like when you do give it a good regular lube up, you know. So There's no play in any of the bearings or anything, so maintenance wise underneath this vehicle there's no bushes or anything that needs to be done. It's just he changes all the oils and filters. Just go and have a quick look at the rear trailing arms, see if we can catch those in the video anywhere. It's going to be hard to see, nothing to see there or there. I'll go around this side. So they're just like new still, really. So it depends how you treat the vehicle and how you use it as to how fast they wear out. Fuel fillers, it's a 2014, we're not worried about that. Look at this DIY style on the diff plugs, they're all nice, and you know, it's funny, you know, has it never been to a Toyota dealer or something? Never at all. Maybe once or twice, you know, a few times at the start maybe, but then it was like, but the good news is they didn't get to bend the pipes at the 40,000, so we've got original DLC injectors, which is why, yeah, even though they're coming up to 7 years old, it's only done 120, we're going to try and get a fair bit more out of them yet, subject to some testing, but that's the plan. I really haven't got anything for you on this vehicle. Tyres are in good nick. That transfer case leak, not really happening on this one. Again, it doesn't happen on all the vehicles. Just having a good look around. Oil cooler not damaged for once, that's good. Tyres, brakes, I don't know what else we can include. There's nothing to see here. There's the slight sweat on the rack boot. Don't go and replace your rack or fix that. It's hardly worth worrying about, but do keep an eye on your oil level, and if it drops down, it's probably just because of that. That's probably going to be like, you know, 2 mil of oil a year though, until it gets worse. In its lifetime, it may have lost 5 or 10 mil, but you're going to notice that. So what we'll do, we'll drop the vehicle down, we'll have a bit of a look around under the bonnet and maybe a quick diagnostic and see what that shows up, and then that'll be all the information we can really provide on this one. That top ball joint, don't worry about that sweat on the ball joint up there. Not something to worry about, so it's pretty standard stuff, similar on both. All right, let's have a look under the bonnet. It's just beautiful under the bonnet. He's done all the wiring himself, not a bad job. Obviously some people would, you know, want to do it different and could do it better, but it's pretty good. I don't have an issue with it. Everything's nice and clean. Nothing to see here. Coolant's nice and clean still. Brake fluid's at a good level. Does all the maintenance itself, changing all the oils and filters, so it hasn't been to the butchers or anything like that. Some nice corrugated split tubing and fuses, pretty neat and tidy. He did mention that he has topped up the power steering oil level once, and it was about probably 10 mil, not a lot. So just keep an eye on that. And if it does drop down a little bit, it's probably a little bit getting past the seal and dropping into that rack boot. On some vehicles it gets worse and you do need to take action and fix that. But on these, it can stay the same for like ever. And there's a specification, I don't know what it is, and it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer how much is okay. And I'll say that while it's losing a small amount like that, and between services only taking 5 or 10 mil to top it up, I certainly wouldn't say it's worth spending the money. You know, if that boot was covered and had oil leaking out of it, and you know this, let's say this was down to, I don't know, you know, down to, I don't know, you know, it's starting to really get down, then you need to do something. But while it's just down a small amount, and if it's the first time you've checked your power steering, it's probably all the oil it's lost in its life. So don't think, oh, this is starting to leak a lot. Always, this is a good tip for you for people that hang around, always top it up and then check it again after 1,000 Ks, or depending how bad you think it is, how soon. But take note how much it uses in 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. So between services where you do the oil and filter every 10,000, you can go, mine uses 8 mil every 10,000, and you go, whatever. If you say I'm using 68 mil every 10,000, I'm going, well, that's getting up there. That's a lot more than what these normally use. So you probably need to do something about it. Let's just go in and have a quick look at the diagnostic, but I wouldn't imagine we're going to see anything there. This is beautiful. Alright, load reading. Can go up around 18, 19 on the 150s, that's okay. Just having a look at everything else. We'll go down and have... The main thing I'm going to look at on this one is the feedback values. Again, the injection volume up around 9, no big deal. Feedback values are all really awesome. See 0, 0, 0 at a minus 0.4, so that's just great. Pilot 1 and 2, yep. And main injection's good. Let's have a quick look at the fuel pressure. No, the timing's there as well. Fuel pressure a little bit more. Be pretty consistent as well. The other thing we're going to do is we want to just have a bit of a look at the tailpipe. And we did actually get a little puff of smoke, but it is nice and quiet. And you get that sometimes too. So if you do get that puff of smoke, you got to be careful you don't worry about that unnecessarily. Mate, is there anything else you're worried about?
The valve clearances.
Valve clearances, they'll be fine. So this has only done 120,000 Ks, and this is why we don't want to go in there, because we know these engines well, and we know the valve clearances will not be out of specification. You've never had a catch can, have you?
No.
Happy days. And you've done regular oil changes?
Yes.
Every 5,000 even, yeah, in the engine, is that right?
Yes.
Bloody beautiful. So I guarantee they're not out, and if they're out, I'll change them for free. There you go. When we eventually do the injectors, we check the valve clearances then, and they won't be out then either. And if they are, they might be out the slightest little bit that they won't be worth adjusting anyway. That's in another video. So we're done here. This thing's absolutely beautiful. Last of the best, 2014 150 Prado with an awesome service history. Hopefully you learned something out of that, guys. Please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe, turn the bell on so you don't miss out on that next important bit of info. I reckon we should plug this in again and switch that beep off. We're ready, guys. See ya. Thanks for watching.